Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's it doing, everybody? So welcome to uh some new this Saturday morning. So I just want to make sure my mic is good. Got the green light, so I should be straight. All right. And so again, just kind of like just kicking it off with that in mind. Here we go. We're just gonna dive right on in. So right now, um, I'm doing a lot of cleanup work. So, like behind the scenes, is really just cleaning up garden spaces. So, right here is actually the Sunbelt Ag demonstration site that we have, a backyard garden. So, as you kind of see, we have grass and stuff overgrowing everywhere. There's nothing really too pretty about it. um, but it kind of shows you guys where we're at with these spaces. So we've kind of already started tilling them up, getting them ready to be planted on. And so when I talk about like this month of August is really focused on preparing our garden sites. Again, just cleaning them up, removing all the weeds, things like that out your way. Um, you want to just kind of start it's not pretty. So you guys might see some of the highlight videos or with stuff growing and things looking lush and beautiful, but this is what it starts off as. Like there's nothing about this that is pretty. Everything is either dormant or empty, or overgrown. And so we really spend the month of August just pulling out weeds. So it's literally early mornings, um, sometimes getting up at the crack of dawn, getting to a garden space before the sun gets out. Because if it got these 90-degree, 100-degree days, it's really hard to go from waking up to going straight into that like in the morning. So one of the things that we do at our garden sites, we're literally trying to get there right after daybreak when it's cool. And again, we're just like pulling weeds, or riding a tiller or hopping on a tractor. And so this isn't the fun part of the work, but it's the necessary part of the work, because without this, we can't plant, we can't cultivate, we can't do anything else. And so that's why I'm always encouraging people of your garden spaces, especially when you're doing these community farm sites, is to have like a strategy that's in mind related to like how you want to keep it weed free. How do you want to prepare the beds? Think about it ahead of time and what it needs to look like, even before you get started. Because again, it's an uphill battle if you don't have a system in place. Because you can walk into a space and like I tell people, it looks like the wild jungle, or it's overgrown with like with grass. So now you're in the turf grass business, and things like that. But just really take the time to um, think about post harvesting what you're going to do in your garden site. A lot of times we think, oh, what I want to grow, but also think about how you're going to clean up that bed after the harvest comes and how you're going to keep it maintained and weed free, right? Just real simple, something that you just like think about as well. All right. And then, like I said, also like we did this work and so one of the things that's been like a blessing for us in this sort of work is that we have been fortunate to have partners that are really helping us out. And so up in Perry, we have an organization called Halo. They provide vocational and work development for individuals with disabilities and autism. So they've been coming out to our Perry site, helping maintain the pulling the weeds, getting the soil and stuff down. So we've really been all about that in particular. And in addition to that, I really want, I really want to encourage you guys if you have a break and want to see some of what I'm talking about in action, to come down to Moultrie in the third weekend in October or during the Georgia National Fair. Come visit our demonstration site at the South Gate entrance to really see like the really see this in real time. You guys get the virtual, but I really want you guys to make a point to come out and see some of the things that we're doing. So first thing that we're like really focusing in on is we've had um a lot of rain, so much rain. It's just like ridiculous, the amount of rain and stuff that's come our way. And so what the rain has done is like really created this, how do I describe it? It really created for us a bad situation out in the fields. I'm just gonna be real simple and real honest with you. And so I'm gonna pull up on the screen and just share with you guys um like what has happened. So this here is our okra plants, right? Um and so with all the rain that happened, it basically has created a fungus on our okra. And so what we're looking at is like in the next week, I'm going to be really focusing in on putting a mulch down to kind of serve as a barrier in between the plant and the ground. Because what people don't realize is that when we have this amount of rain, there's not enough time for um, the leaves to dry off. So that water sits on the leaves and create like a fungus. But then also there's some soil borne diseases that are out there as well. And so by putting down a mulch, whether it's additional layer of compost or some wheat, some straws, you see me do it in the past where I've used like landscape fabric. It's going to help us and help us hopefully combat this happening. But again, it's just to show you guys that it's not easy to put food on you guys' table, especially when you're trying to do it a natural, organic, sustainable sort of way. And so we have to be thinking ahead of time, like, what are we going to do if this happens? What are we going to have to do when that happens? So it's a real struggle. But on the flip side of it is that we don't have to run our irrigation system as much. So that's good on the pockets. And so the plants are definitely getting more than enough. But like I said, we're kind of in this limbo of plants not having enough time for the leaves to dry out before we get another downpour. And then what happens in our neck of the woods is that most of the rain and stuff happens in the evening time. So we get a heavy rain that comes in about 4 o'clock, five, downpour, and again, the leaves don't have enough time for evaporation to happen, and so they're kind of moist through the evening, and then you kind of get these diseases and stuff like that. So that's just like again the struggle. Because again, I want to be very transparent on this call on this podcast with you guys. Still trying to get the language down, but I really want you guys to really hear about like on a weekly basis, like what we're really going through, again, to get food from the fields to you guys' table. So again, this is just something we call it, Southern Roots, Garden Boots, based down here in Albany, Georgia, in the South. And so the other thing I want to just talk about is, what it is that we're going to look at planting this week. So this week coming up is probably like the last, probably like 2 more weeks of trying to get in the ground my squash and zucchini crops. And so our goal this week, we already have the fields planted, the irrigation laid down, is to get squash planted and zucchini planted. Um, and again, these are summer crops, but they are what I call like quick growing crops. They will mature in like 45 to like 50 days and start producing like a harvest that'll last until the squash vine boards find them, or frost happens. And and I like to try to get this in because again, this is one that does really, really well. Squash and zucchini do really, really well in our community you pick sites. So in areas where we're encouraging the community to come out, pick, feed themselves, like squash and zucchini are like a big hit for us. So we are intentional about making sure that all of our sites have squash and zucchini planted, and we do it not just once. And this is kind of my educational moment with this call as well, is that we do a technique that is called session planting. And so, how I describe session planting to people is that this is literally you take it versus you planting everything all at one time. You stagger the planting schedule. So, with squash, we do it. With lettuce, we do it. With peas, we do it. With corn, we do it. We also do it in those sites where we have to have cabbage, turnips. And so, again, session planning allows for us to have a longer harvest window, but we are staggering planting at a time. So, I guess the best way to look at it, the simplified, is that that you don't eat like squash you might want squash every week. So, in order to have squash every week, you have to plant every 2 weeks because that one squash plant, again, something can happen, the weather, stagger, the heat, or whatnot. And you want to just be able to kind of continuously keep harvesting. Same with turnips. So, like with turnips in particular, once you get the turnip up, that's all the turnips that you have for the season. And so to have a continuous harvesting of turnips, it makes sense to plant them, every 2 to 3 weeks when you have the right growing conditions. So you stagger it with like a little bit at a time. So in our garden spaces, we might have like 30 raised beds that are set aside for our U-pick market. And what we'll do with those beds is that we will stagger, we'll plant like 2 beds 1 week, come back 2 weeks later, plant another 2 beds, come back a couple weeks later, plant another 2 beds. And what this does, it allows for us to have a longer harvesting period for a community favorite. So we don't have to, yeah, you can always run out because, again, when people are coming in and picking, things like that tend to happen. But our goal is to always have enough fresh produce that's available through the growing season to make sure that all of our community members and our neighbors are able to go pick what they need to get by, right? So session planting is just one of those ways that we do it because again, we know that there might be a pest problem that can happen at any time. Again, we're dealing with these heavy days of rain and hot temperatures, and we do not want to lose a crop because, like I tell everybody, that Sister Mary that stays across the street, like this could be her only means of having fresh food on the table. and it's our responsibility as growers to make sure that Miss Mary has what she needs and what she's looking for. All right. And then another thing that I want to share with you guys is I always get this request about planting, when to plant what, how do I know when to plant, what to do, what's in season. And so here on Southern Roots Garden Boots, I have what I'm going to show to you guys, which is our planting guide. I'm going to pull this up on the screen for you. All right. So on this planting guide, it's not ours from Flint River Fresh. Actually, I got it from a farming alliance out of the Panhandle called the Red Hill Alliance. I went down to go visit one of their farms, Fuller Farms, and they shared this with me. And I've had this about 7, 8 years now. And literally, what it has is a guide that shows, you know, what to plant, when to plant. And I'm just going to enlarge this a little bit so you guys can see. So it is color coded. All right, let me go back and enlarge it a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So what I have it, and guys, if you guys are watching and you follow me, if you DM me on Facebook or send me a comment or something on YouTube, I can share this with you, but it only really applies for my gardening zone, which is gardening zone 9. But literally it's broken down month by month, um, when to plant, like it has like our system in place. So when you see the letter S, that means that we are going to sow it indoors. When you see the letter D, that means we're direct seeding. When you see the letter T, it means that we're transplanting. And the color green indicates that this would be the optimum time for us to plant. Like we want to get it planted within this month. This is the optimum time and window. The yellow kind of indicates that you can probably plant it, but just be cautious that you're at the end of a window, or it's about to be a cold snap about to happen, or a heat wave is about to jump off. So if you look at the month of August, basil, transplanting it, green beans, direct seeding it. You get down into mustard greens, we're able to direct seed. We're doing field peas. You guys heard me talk about planting some purple whole peas. We're also at that window where, again, if you wanted to, you can start your broccoli, your cabbage, your collards indoors in a greenhouse. And you guys have seen me do that as well. So this really helps in terms of what we're going to do each month in our gardening spaces. And again, if you message me or DM me on like Facebook or YouTube, or if you catch the playbacks or whatnot, the short reels and stuff on like Instagram and TikTok, I will send this to you. And again, this really does apply for those people living like in Southwest Georgia, Southeastern Alabama, the Florida Panhandle region, to really help you determine what to plant, when to do seeds, when to do versus doing direct deposit or transplants and things like that as well. And so, again, this is a great tool. I've been using this for 7 years now, and it hasn't changed. Everything, like I don't want to say, I mean, it's law, but this is the blueprint on how we're successful. And then the other thing, like I have for you guys, is more of just a bigger, like I use this for like our U-pick operation. So we're thinking about what we're going to plant for our U-pick, which is our community-based farms, where we allow for community members to come on certain days to pick from the harvest. This here is what we do. This is what we do in our U-pick operation. So I'm just going to scroll down again. You see, we're like in August, October. And so like these are the things that we try to get into the ground and have available. Don't look at the garlic and onions. That's not for us to harvest or eat in the fall. is that we plant it in the fall so we can have them ready when spring comes around. But this is what we are planting in our garden spaces for our community markets. So we're trying to get turnips, mustard greens, because people love them. We got collards, we got kale, we have radishes, we have lettuce mixes, and we also, I think I've added recently, we've added spinach to this list because we found that we get a good response from our community members of having like fresh spinach available. So this is another tool that we will share with you guys. If you message me, you DM me, so you just have it like available, so you can start thinking ahead of time, like what's available, what to plant, things like that along that lines in that nature, right? So like the last thing that I just really want to touch upon before I kind of like close this out, again, if you guys have any sort of questions, feel free to DM me, put a comment underneath this live stream that'll be posted, that'll be available. But definitely want again to connect with you guys, make sure that you're able to grow and feel comfortable growing and things like that. But so the last thing is that every third Saturday of the month, beginning this month, which is August. So August, September, October, November, we do something different. We do this thing called Saturday Serve. So this is a day where we encourage community members to come out to our Fifth Avenue Community Garden here in Albany, Georgia, to lend a hand to help us with garden related tasks. So like this upcoming Saturday, the 23rd, we'll be out at Fifth Avenue at 10 a.m. from 10 to about 12, and really be focusing in on preparing our beds, cleaning out, de-weeding, adding compost. And with sad news is that we're going to have to remove our 3 rows in our citrus grove, and that's just because there were baby citrus trees that we planted, and then we had a cold snap that came in and pretty much knocked all the trees. What I mean by knocked is it killed off the trees, and so we need to pull those up, the landscape fabric that's attached to it. And we're looking at just converting that space into like maybe a small strawberry patch that we can do. We can start planting in October, but we need some extra hands to join us at the Fifth Avenue Community Garden at 10 a.m. Again, just to help us, and it's part of our Saturday Serve initiative, and we do this the third Saturdays of the month in August, September, and October. And then the last thing, as part of our efforts to build, create new farmers or help existing farmers expand their operation, we're hosting another agritourism training on August the 30th, which is a Saturday. It's going to start at 10 a.m. It's going to be at Innovate Hub here in Albany off of Dawson Road. And that class is going to be led by me. And we're going to focus in on how do we build these community pick sites. So I'm going to spend about 2 hours not talking. It'll be hands-on, interactive, and we're going to build as a community a community pick site. We're going to discuss layouts. We're going to discuss signage. We're going to discuss accessibility. We're going to discuss crops that we will plant, and we will discuss our crop rotation and soil health. And then lastly, we're going to take a field trip after lunch to go to a garden site, and you guys will learn hands-on how to build a in-ground garden plot for a community pick site. So again, that's happening on August the 30th at 10 a.m. at Innovate Hub. And again, most of these things you guys will be able to find if you follow us on social media. Again, if you want more information, you can always DM me directly. Because again, Saturday Serve, definitely look for volunteers to come out. And if you know anybody that is a beginning farmer or someone that's looking at trying to establish a community garden or a, I like, again, I'm an advocate for community you pick farms, because again, it's just one of those ways where in neighborhoods that do not have access to fresh food, ways that we can convert vacant land and vacant property into a tool for that community to be able to grow for themselves, to come together, and things like that as well. So this is a wrap. This is the very first episode again of Southern Roots and Garden Boots. And again, I'm your boy Farmer Fredo, and I appreciate you guys taking a moment out of your Saturday morning just to sit down with me, and hopefully you got your cup of coffee, your cup of Joe. And again, if you guys ever need me to come on in and support what you guys are doing on the ground, you know, we got those boots on the ground. Where them fans at? Um, just hit me up with the DM on social media, or drop a comment in the bottom. And again, we'll be back next Saturday. Um, you know, next Saturday we'll be back at 8 a.m. for another like check-in on what we have going on here with Southern Roots and Garden Boots. So again, it's your boy Farmer Fredo. I'm checking in, checking out, and growing food is what I'm about. Peace.